A day of wrath is that day, a day of adversity and distress, a day of waste and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of cloud and thick darkness. I was a Catholic. I had no relationship with the Lord. The Jesus that I knew was the little Jesus statue with her mother Mary. In the parish we knew that there is heaven and hell. Even though we live life the way we wanted, we still thought we were going to heaven, and that some people were going to hell. The false assurance of salvation came from my way of thinking, and that the more you do good, everlasting life was guarantee. It was at that period of my life that I had a tremendous dream that will change my life forever. I was sleeping and began to have this dream, where I found myself in a field where there were millions, I mean billions of people. The crowds were numerous beyond the sight, to the infinite, and I could not count them for they were billions. There were multitude of souls standing in many column, and I was in one of the column of millions of souls in this place. When I landed in this place among the multitude, immediately I had this awareness that I was dead, and there was no doubt that I was dead. I was no longer on the earth. Then I told myself, I should not be here, my place is in the paradise. When I looked ahead I saw the innumerable crowds, and when I looked behind I saw countless people of all language, all nation and all races beyond the sight in the horizon. I noticed that the dead and the living that were assembled in this place were dressed in black garment, and women had a cover on the head. I could see men and women, but I did not recognize someone that I know, even though they were million on my left and million on my right. The Bible say, then I saw a great white throne and him who was seated on it. The earth and the heavens fled from his presence, and there was no place for them. And I saw the dead, great and small, standing before the throne. Brethren, we were there when suddenly, we saw flying above the innumerable multitude, 3 glorious resplendent angels of God. They were majestic, glorious and powerful, and the first angel flew in great speed and power above the multitude of countless souls, and he shouted, Judgment Day has come. It's Judgment Day. The day of final judgment is here. All the eyes of billions of people, the living and deaf that were in column, were lifted to the altitude, watching the angel that flew in prodigious speed all over the place, shouting with a voice of thunder. Afterward the second angel that came sounded the trumpet, which was like a horn. During my research I found out that in Jewish tradition they had this kind of trumpet, and when this angel sounded the trumpet it made sound that lasted a bit before fading, just like the shofar sound. The blowing of the shofar is a ritual performed by Jews on Rosh Hashanah. The shofar is a musical horn, typically made of a ram's horn. The blowing of this trumpet that looked like a shofar was massive, powerful and unprecedented. Then the third angel that was holding a tambourine began to hit it with his drumstick, and the sound of the tambourine was like a powerful speaker placed on my ears, that arms would destroy my ears drums. When this angel played the tambourine 3 times, I heard a voice that said, look forward. First I saw that the multiple columns of people converged to this roundabout. We were billions and countless to the infinite. The crowds form a roundabout before a scintillating throne that shone with radiant light. The more you approach the throne, the more this light of the throne intensify. The roundabout formed by billions of the living and dead before the throne was so gigantic that it was greater than the size of the earth, and before this roundabout was a massive throne, upon which is sitting a big character. Before even focusing on the one seated on the throne, I receive a word that said, look ahead. When I look, I saw a particular woman before the throne. She was her knees. She was crying and supplicating and crying to the Lord, because of the verdict. I was saying someone must do something for her, but I knew that she was according to what you have done, for God will repay each one according to his deeds. When I was having pity for her, 2 robust, fearsome and giant angel appeared beside her and grabbed her and went away with her. Even if I did not see where she was taken, it was clear that the angel went to throw her to the lake of fire. The Bible say books were opened. Another book was opened, which is the book of life. The dead were judged according to what they had done as recorded in the books. The sea gave up the dead that were in it, and death and Hades gave up the dead that were in them, and each person was judged according to what they had done. Then death and Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. The lake of fire is the second death. Anyone whose name was not found written in the book of life was thrown into the lake of fire. When this lady was judged and condemned, I noticed that the one who was on the throne did not say anything and show no reaction. Then when it was my turn, I knew it automatically, and I knew that I had to face judgment and there is no escape. In the spirit world things were coordinated because everybody knew when it was their turn. Already I was surprised that it was my turn because before me there were still millions. A voice said to me, "Come forward, it's your time to face judgment," and a power transported me and I flew toward the throne, before the judge of the living and the dead. When I got there it's as if I knew what to do. Immediately I knelt before the throne. I noticed that I was able to see all around me. I mean I could with a vision of 360 degree. I could see the throne before me and the multitude behind me, the sky above and the ground below. It was automatic. When I looked at the Lord on the throne, he was massive, he was a giant. I saw his feet and garment and hand, but from the chest upward, it was like when you are trying to look at the sun when it is shining with its strength. I remember when I was a child I used to try to look at the sun, but I was struggling to look. It was similar to what happened before the throne. I could not watch his face. I was saying I want to see. That's when then the Lord who sat on the throne looked at me and lifted his right hand. He stretched it towards me, beckoning me. Immediately a force raised me from my knee, and I saw that I was directed to the right. When I was taken to the right I saw that my black garment was turning to a white garment. It is a white color that does not exist on earth. It was a shining garment. I was then taken to the right hand of the throne, and when I stood on the right of the throne, I saw behind the Lord a countless crowds of men and women. They were all dressed in white garment. They were the overcome and their name was found in the book of life. The Bible say it is done. I'm the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To the thirsty I will give water without cost from the spring of the water of life. Those who are victorious will inherit all this, and I will be their God and they will be my children. But the cowardly, the unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, the sexually immoral, those who practice magic arts, the idolaters and all liars, they will be consigned to the fiery lake of burning sulfur. This is the second death. When I woke up from the dream, even though I was a Catholic, I knew that this experience was not a simple dream. I began to relate it to everybody, pastor and priest. After hearing my story, the priest was silent and reflective. I realized that this was important even if I was still a Catholic. The priest seems that he knew what I was talking about, but he was reluctant to tell me and I was a bit disappointed that he did not tell me more about it. That's how I began to investigate to get to the core of this. I did not know what I was looking for, but I knew that there is a truth that I am missing here. I was not born again and was not a child of God. It is when I came across true Christians that were born again and living a life of prayer that I began to pray with them and I came to know the Lord.